the gold, probably worth somewhere in the region of about $24 billion in today's money.
This is Curran in the Sperrin Mountains. We're up a tiny country road, very few people living in this area, and yet this mine behind me has one of the world's highest grade undeveloped deposits of gold. There are lots of other metals here, copper, silver, rare earths, things that are highly significant in a geopolitical sense, things that countries are scrambling to get their hands on. They're in this mountain, but getting them out of this mountain is extraordinarily controversial with some people.
Let's go deeper underground to get a sense of just how advanced this site is in preparation for mining.
We have our ore vein. That's given us 5 grams a ton. It's a proper vein weight of 0.45 metres. Now, if you stand back and it comes here, the vein with the host rock, there is a difference in colour. As you look at the vein here, you can notice the silica up there, the white base silica rock there. Now, you have to appreciate this has been exposed to the atmosphere for 30 odd years. So it has oxidized. When we go underground further, you'll see
it's more obvious.
More veins, and it's quite obvious. Very obvious.
And so this was all here from the 80s. This bit here,
It was here in the 1980s that a company called Ulster Minerals began drilling in search of gold. That came to nothing, and it wasn't until 2009 that Dalradian Resources got control of the site and proved there was far more gold here than previously thought. But the development of this mine continues to face scrutiny and opposition.
The politicians weren't listening to the people, and somebody had to stand up.
So we've been in here for about 20 minutes. This is all up to here, what was here in the 1980s roughly. You've expanded it a bit, but now we start to go into what you've actually dug out yourselves.
Correct, right. So if you look at the wall here, you can see the sort of the circular motion from what was called the road header. This was extracted mechanically, so great difficulty in terms of trying to get the rock out. It's pretty tough rock, especially when you get to the veins of the sulfides. And you can see that sort of motion of this road header, which is completely different to then when we turn to the new part of the development, which we can bulk sample. You can now start to see the sort of the blocky nature of the rock itself, where we were able to drill and blast out the same sort of tunnel dimensions. But again, at this stage now, you can progress in a much more up-to-date fashion and a much more efficient fashion.
Today, there's basically nothing happening in this mine. As we get deeper and deeper under the ground, the vastness is extraordinary. As we go further beneath the earth, it gets drier than the section created in the 1980s. Here we are arriving at the V75 vein, where the man in charge of the operation sets out the astonishing quantities of gold held in this rock.
You can see the sort of numbers that we're talking about here in terms of the grade. So we're looking at over 200 grams per ton of gold. There's associated then silver. You'll see the copper through the walls as well. Typically, for most bigger mining operations, you're talking about a half a gram to a gram a ton. So these sorts of mines that are open cast or pit, we're the exact opposite. We're underground, narrow vein, very high grade. So that's what, again, what makes the opportunity unique at Curran. Very few places globally have these sorts of numbers.
So 234 grams of gold per ton here. What is that in real money if this was taken out of the ground?
Roughly 234, you're talking about 7 to 8 ounces. At 3,500, what are you talking? You're probably talking $26,000 per ton. And to give you an idea, a ton is actually, in terms of rock, is quite a small volume. Maybe a dining chair, that's sort of an idea. If you were to take a cubic meter, so sort of waist height as a box, you'd be just under, say, 3 tons. So if you had 3 tons of this vein at V75, you're in the region of $80, $90, $100,000 per cubic meter of rock. Again, there are very few places globally that carry this sort of grade.
That's an extraordinary sum of money for a metre cubed of rock.
It is indeed, and it's great to have it. You want a robust business, and certainly this vein is one of sort of the bigger carrying veins, and the veins will pinch as well, so that grade will vary vertically, it'll vary horizontally, but that number is an actual measured, tested result. So we're confident that is the grade of that vein. And the project is a unique project. Certainly, I think, in terms of the UK and the opportunity that comes with that to take out gold, silver, copper, and the critical minerals and have a strong, robust project that can carry variations in commodity prices, again, is one of the things that makes the project so valuable.
We've just come out of the mine after about 2 hours. It's really significant in size, even though this is only the exploratory stage of what ultimately might be tunnelled into this mountain. We're now going to go and find out some more about this and talk to people who both support this and oppose it. So we're here in the core store in Oma, and there are all these boxes stacked very high, very heavy, bits of rock in them. What is this place?
So this is our core store, which is cylindrical rock that's taken from the ground in and around Kernot deposit. And from that core, we're able to log a vast amount of detail, from the structure to the veining, to the mineralogy, to the fracturing, to the alterations. And from all that information, we're able to build a 3D model that we hope then to mine from.
Okay. And I think here we've got some samples from some of these cores. So what on earth is this?
Sure. So this is first of all, this core is cut in half. So this has been sampled and sent. Half of that has been sent to the lab. And this piece of what we call wall rock. This is the rock that surrounds the veining, the mineralized veining. This particular piece is semi-pelite, and most of the veining is situated within semi-pelite. The vein itself has clear defining boundaries. The gold is situated within the pyrite itself. We have no visible gold in the core, but we have obtained visible gold through panning in the local streams. But we can also tell from the assays the makeup of what's in there. And so you can see on this here, this particular sampled vein piece has got 75.69 grams per ton of gold. I can show you over here as well. We have examples of each vein and their assays for that particular piece, which you might want to look at.
Sure.
So here's our rock library. When this was created, these were all of the identified veins that we had sampled within the deposit. So you can see them very clearly here. There's different types of textures, and different veins have different makeups, and they have different grades displayed here on this table. And yeah.
So Brian, your company has been on this site since 2009, I think, and you submitted a planning application in 2017, and it's not that you've been turned down, you don't have any decision whatsoever. What do you make of that?
I think it's particularly frustrating, I think, from the company's perspective. I think there's a lot of money gone into making a very sound, comprehensive planning application into a system that we expected would administer that application in a period of weeks, if not a short couple of years. 8 years on, I think, is particularly bad in terms of the signal for investment, both within Northern Ireland and the UK, and I think is unhelpful for all stakeholders, not only the company.
When do you think you'll get a decision?
We are hopeful that the Planning Appeals Commission will issue a resumption of the inquiry in the next number of weeks. What those dates will be, we do not know, but the expectation is we will have lost another year from where the inquiry was in January of this year.
You're a big company, you're a rich company, or rather your owners are very rich. You've plenty of muscle to lobby, to get your message across. What do politicians say when you go and knock on their door and say, what's going on here?
I think in terms of any company investing and with a legitimate expectation as to a process that works, what we're told is there is a process. We respect the process. Us and I think any others that are investing, as well as the community, I keep coming back to the wider stakeholders, need the system to produce decisions, and that simply isn't happening. It's not unique to this project, it's not unique to this application, and I think in a sense, the money that is behind the company and the size of the prize in terms of the application and what it could give to Northern Ireland and the wider UK is not that issue. I think the planning system has to work with numerous examples, be it the A5, be it the delivery around renewables or non-delivery, north-south interconnector. There's a serious problem in terms of decision process. We respect the outcome, but the process has to move.
Your company is called Dalradian Gold, and when most people think about this, it's the gold that catches their eye in more ways than one. But actually, there are lots of other metals in the earth here, and there are these rare metals, these rare earths that are very important economically now, and are of wider geopolitical significance in the world as it is now. Is the British government taking an interest in this, and is there anything they can do about this?
I think the default answer is planning is a devolved matter, and again we understand that and we get that, but equally it's a UK critical minerals list and there's a UK investment strategy, and I think certainly investors looking at what's happening across our investment and many others see it as a UK problem. I said outside of that it's devolved. But at the same time, Northern Ireland needs growth. It needs money. There's a lot of demand for money. I note, I think was it Mike Nesbitt saying 153 million for the next 5 years would clear the waiting lists. A5, 1.7 billion. A project like this would be paying that sort of money to the revenue, to the exchequer. People need money to spend money.
How much money roughly has your company spent on this so far?
On the project itself, somewhere in the region of 250 million. Orion themselves bought the company for a further 400 million.
And what do the people who run that company in the United States, what do they make of this when they look in and see how this has been handled in Northern Ireland?
Orion invest a number of funds, be they pension, endowment, sovereign funds. They have built over 80 mines in 50 different countries. This is by far and away the worst experience they've had. They would very much like to invest in the UK, hence taking their decision on us. But the experience that they've had and we have means that they can no longer say that this place is open for business. I think the facts speak to the contrary.
And getting cyanide out of this proposal has persuaded some people that it's better now than it was. But isn't the reality that mining is always going to be a pretty dirty business? It's not good for the environment.
Again, I think it's a good question, and I think one of the challenges that the company has had is that there is not that much by way of mining, certainly metalliferous mining, in Northern Ireland, and to a lesser degree, the UK. What's beyond dispute is that everybody needs mining. Everybody needs metals and minerals. That's reflected in, as I said, the UK critical minerals list. The US recently have updated their critical minerals list to cover copper, cover silver. And if we want to decarbonise, we need metals, we need minerals. If we want to have growth, if we want to pay for people living longer, extended healthcare needs, all of those things require money. So the government, certainly through Westminster, have prioritised growth. An investment like this, which will create 1,000 well-paid jobs in the west of the province, providing essential metals and minerals, I think is something that we would see as deserving of more support. Certainly, I think at that high level, the need is there across the board.
How much do you think is what's in the hill worth?
We haven't updated our numbers in a while, and things are moving quickly, as you say. The planning application, the last time I looked at it, was worth in the region of 7 to 8 billion in terms of GVA, and in terms of taxes, maybe 2.5 billion. But there's a further billion plus to the local supply chain. The planning itself, we would see as being, the start of this project. There are many mines that will go through a phase 1, a phase 2, a phase 3, At the moment, we have defined an ore body in the region, or a resource of 6.1 million ounces, and that's open. So in geological terms, we would expect to add to that. So that's the gold, the silver, and the copper, plus the other critical minerals. That of itself, total multiplier, is probably worth somewhere in the region of about $24 billion in today's money.
Martin and Michael, you live in Greencastle. You've been campaigning against this for a very long time. Why did you start campaigning against it, and how long have you been at it for?
Well, back at the beginning of this, we were told that our community had been chosen as a sacrificial community, that the people in Greencastle were worth nothing in comparison to Doridian's project, and that's why Greencastle had been picked, because there would be no both sides of the community opposition, and the local political party would have been in full support at the time.
Who was it told you that?
It was actually a politician, and we asked him why. Well, he says there's not a unionist vote in Greencastle, so he says they don't have to deal with both sides of the community. So he says it's your own chiefs that have sold you down the river. Now, I will say at the very beginning we were very naive, because the people on the ground who were politically aligned were saying this was brilliant, this is great, this is going to open out the community for jobs, investment. As it moved forward, we realised that this was a sales pitch. It wasn't the truth, and it actually annoyed us even more that the people that were telling us we believed were part of the community, but it was all about the pounds, pennies and shillings that they were involved.
When I first heard about the company, again, like Martin there, didn't worry me so much, so, you know. And then once the talk came about the possibilities of what it entailed, you know, with the tailings dump and how it would affect day-to-day life, you know, with the school children, and I have a couple of young boys there at home, and kind of copped on, you know, we need to look and do something about it, because you could see politically at that point that the politicians weren't listening to the people, and somebody had to stand up and just speak up for the people, you know, and do whatever had to be done, maybe just to try and add a voice for those that weren't able to maybe they supported you, but they weren't physically or capable of you know, coming together and actually actively getting involved. So I had an opportunity just to do what I could.
Kieran, why are you opposed to this?
There's a 100 different reasons or ways to answer that question. Principally because I see just the destruction of the sperrins, the industrialisation of the sperrins coming through that proposal, and therefore that's not on. Can't have that. So I set out to try and oppose that.
If this mine goes ahead, what's going to happen?
That's like asking us if there's world peace tomorrow, what's going to happen? That's just a hypothetical. So I could give you a hypothetical answer if you want, but I don't think it would help you or me.
You really don't think there's any realistic chance this is ever going to happen?
I don't believe so on the evidence, and that's all I go on is evidence.
What's the evidence that convinces you that it won't happen?
Well, it's the evidence of how the system works here, and how the system is now working against itself, not because it wants to, but because it's been forced to, and it's now jammed tight, and it's not going forward or back.
What the company say is that they came here in good faith. They were told that there were deposits here. This was advertised effectively by the Northern Ireland government, and they got here, they did all of the things that they were meant to do. They submitted their applications, they did the various processes, and they still can't even get a yes or a no. Isn't that pretty unreasonable? Even if you're against this, shouldn't they be getting either a yes or a no?
If you're a speculator, you speculate. And you make your decision to speculate on the information you garner. Now, if Arlene Foster and Martin McGuinness sold Patrick Anderson a pig in a poke, and he then sold it to his investors. That's on the speculators and the company owners. There's so much gold lying in all of these defunct devices that could be recycled. We don't have to keep opening new fields and new mountainsides just to make ourselves green. That's greenwash, and I don't buy that at all.
Some local people support this project, believing it will keep young people in the area. At present, many leave, sometimes going as far away as Australia, where sometimes they work in mining. But others say they don't want these beautiful mountains to be destroyed or to put up with the wider disruption involved in mining. They have fears about what it could mean for the environment and for their health. After more than 10 years, they're not even close to being convinced by what Dalradian says.